Welcome to this very special episode of Penstand. Usually we invite industry guests to join me on my podcast and we talk about everything that matters in healthcare. Yesterday we celebrated our 13th anniversary of the garage. It's been an amazing journey for all of us. So to celebrate the anniversary, I decided to mix things up this time and I'm hosting a very special episode of Penstand with my own crew. Everyone in here have been amazing in their impact, in their commitment, in their journey with us. So let's talk to them and learn more about what keeps them going and their commitment to changing healthcare for good. Welcome everyone. What I'd like to do is to start with all of you introducing yourself with your name and your title.
I'm Madhu. I'm working as a senior project manager past 9 years. It's been a very simple journey.
I'm Nadia Robeson, Director of Data Science.
Phillip Marrett, VP of Data Analytics.
Chandler Douglas, Head of Engineering.
Jessica Robinson, Chief Platform Officer.
Now, all of you have spent a lot of time doing what you guys do for the garage. Let's collectively reflect on this journey. Chandler, I'm going to start with you because you came in to us. I remember your day one. You were an intern, came in with no prior experience, and today you're heading up the entire engineering division in the company. It's a very important responsibility. We are all extremely proud about the growth you've had over the last 8 years. But talk to us a little bit about how you reflect on this journey and the journey, the progress that you've made with us.
Sure. Like you said, I met the garage at a career fair at my college, UCF, Go Knights. And just from the moment that I met the company, I knew it was something special. They were the last booth I talked to that day. They weren't even on the tech floor, they were on the general floor. And just the moment I met them, I just saw so much passion and so much energy coming outside of the people that were there. And that's been the one constant through my entire journey, from intern to software engineer to lead to now head of engineering. The thing that has always rooted me has been that passion, not only for the tech, not only for the architecture, but the passion that we have towards making an impact on healthcare and on patient lives. It's been an incredible journey. It wouldn't have been possible without the company continuing to invest in my learnings and invest in me. The conferences that I've been sent to, the classes that have been sponsored by the company for me, just everything that I've done has always been in the pursuit of making that impact and changing healthcare for good.
So let's take the passion that Chandler talked about and see how we all reflect on it. Nadia, let's talk about what's your passion on a day-to-day basis. You've been around for 8 years. In fact, you kicked off the data sciences discipline in the company. We didn't have anyone until you joined us that was focused on data science. And today it's like the anchor on how we understand data and our application to a data-first approach. So what drives you? What are you passionate about when it comes to data?
I think that part where we're anchoring on data first and making it so that we can help people make sense of something that is a little chaotic and nerve-wracking. So it's what really drives me is that we help people understand what's going on with things that just are hard to conceptualize, and we bring that understanding so that they, the ones that are creating those actions to create that change, can actually do it without having to have that nerve-wracking part of making sense of everything that comes with that healthcare data.
Amazing. So let's pick on chaos that Nadia mentioned. In the last 12 years, Jessica, we have seen many phases of chaos. We have seen it in the industry, we have seen it in the company. So what has been your approach to seeking opportunities to innovate at times of chaos?
It's really just been listening to what are the needs and how we can create the visualizations or the workflows to impact the action that needs to be taken. So depending on which program they're in, this fee-for-service shift to value-based care was extremely chaotic. I think it's a little less chaotic, but there's still some chaos there. But understanding what organizations, large, medium, and small, need are a different opportunity to present that information in a different way. But the actions, the outcomes essentially are performance. They have to hit those targets. They need to make their shared savings or their it being in the green versus the red, and they want to make sure that they're meeting their quality. But that means different things. It's different measures, it's different specs, it's different rates. But understanding how we can make the workflow dynamic enough within our system that it has configuration points so it's easily configured and then it can be streamlined to everyone else.
So let's pick on actions. Phillip, we've always wanted to be the platform for actions. We've designed the platform to be an operational reality, an operating system for value-based care. But all of us know that begins on how we operationalize data. So you're the head of data ops. Talk to us about how you look at enabling actions with a data-first approach.
Yeah, I think I was fortunate to have an opportunity to work in several different spaces within the company, and that kind of allows me to connect the dots between data sources, what the platform needs, how ultimately that data is going to be useful for our users. But at the end of the day, it all starts with data. Data is going to be our foundation. You build a strong foundation, you're able to build strong solutions, and that's something that we really strive to do.
There's something that I read 2 days ago, guys, and I was hooked into the headline of that. It was a blog, actually. And it said, workflow eats data for breakfast. So let's reflect on it a little bit collectively as a team, because we can prep the best data in the world, but if at the endpoints, if we cannot operationalize in a way that we're seeing real transformational business process change, whether it is at the practice level, at the network level, the administrator level, I think it's going to be basically static and stagnant. So Chandler, from an architecture, let's talk about our digital first, data first architecture, right? That's the premise, the background on which we conceive this tiny tasty morsels layer to say, hey, let's build tools that will help operationalize the intelligence that we're getting from data. From an engineering standpoint, what from your perspective has been our approach or challenge to enable that tiny tasty morsels layer? And how does AI play a role in that?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. I do think that with AI now, what people are realizing is that field of dreams approach where if you build it, they will come is not necessarily what's going to work in the industry, across all industries, not just healthcare, but everywhere. And the importance to set ourselves aside is, like you said, taking that engineering approach to almost have an obsession with how the user is going to interact with this and how the user is going to play around in this environment, and that these particles, these tiny tasty morsels, these individual pieces of data are not only important, but they're accurate, they're actionable, and they lead to other things happening in their workflows. The way we're using AI is not as a replacement for any one person. We're looking at AI as an augmentation. Think about how much powerful you could be if you had an AI partner, an AI twin, an AI sibling, whatever you want to call it, helping you achieve your workflows. And from an engineering perspective, we're taking two approaches to it. One on our development side, where we are enabling our developers with more tools that can utilize AI to build in lightning fast speeds and focus more on the reliability, the stability, and the software architecture behind the scenes. And the other is putting these tools in the hands of our users, where any user, Bridge, Ignite, Engage, whatever platform it may be that we're working on, is able to not only see these insights developed by AI and powered by AI, but are able to take actionable steps post that to streamline their workflows.
So to piggyback on what Chandler is talking about, understanding that end user's state, the end user's context, the end user's need, both articulated and unarticulated. Madhu, you represent our India operation. You're based out of India. You've seen the India team grow in providing backend support and things like that. What from your perspective is important to understand the end user's expectations when we go about configuring the experiences, configuring the builds? What has been your approach to ensuring that the teams understand the end user while we are putting together the platform?
So basically we need to show like exact data what we are getting from the client.
True.
Because client will be rely on us. The platform they will use every day, right? So data should be accurate always.
100%. That's a big part for you, right? So 100% accuracy of data. I'm going to have both of you weigh in on this. It continues to be a challenge for us. It's a challenge for the entire industry, right? Because the EHR 10 years ago was the begin all end all of that patient record. It's no more the case, right? What we are trying to build is a ledger that shows everything about that patient. the ones that have been documented and the ones that have not been documented, right? So from mapping to operationalizing, how do you guys look at this challenge? And where do you see the journey going in terms of enabling that ledger that then allows for everyone to know and be consensual on the truth about the patient? Because there's not a single constituent in the ecosystem that knows everything about the patient. So you're trying to bring a team to consensually understand by shared access, authenticated, authorized shared access, so they have a holistic view of what's happening with the patient. How do you guys see that challenge?
Us as a data aggregator, we're getting data from various sources.
Right.
You mentioned not every source is going to have
Correct.
full information for the patient. So that's our job, is to create that holistic patient record so that users can make quality decisions. It comes down to finding that balance between precision and truth.
Right.
How close do you need to get to that truth of the patient before you're able to present that and make that actionable to end users? So it's a constant challenge. It comes down to the analysis that we do in every mapping integration activity to make sure that we understand if we do see variances once we bring that data in. Why is that? Is it something that is acceptable? Is it something that needs to be corrected on the source side? Anything that we have to add any additional handling for? So it's something that we take seriously, something that we have to really look into whenever we bring in any new data sources.
Nadia, how do you look at it from a data science, data mapping standpoint?
I think it's important to take a step back and really look at everything at a really high level first and understand that landscape of what you've got to work with. You're going to find that there are certain things that are going to work better together. So making sure that we make those connections is important. But in order to get those connections made, you do have to take a step back and really look at everything you've got working to work with, so that you can start to tie everything together and start to get that holistic view of the patient.
Got it. Jessica, let's look into the future, right? What should everybody expect from the platform in terms of innovation, in terms of the experience in the coming months and years? What's exciting for you? You're the head of studio, you're the head of our entire platform innovation roadmap. What's exciting? What can you share without disclosing details?
We've taken a shift conceptually, and I think just from any starting point, to understand we have a platform that provides a lot of information. It's providing a lot of actionable workflows. It's providing a lot of insight that organizations, big or small, really have to dig to find or need to have a separate team to organize. We're at a point now where we can start to infer what our clients by type are going to need. And with that comes the ability to simplify and provide clean, unique insights by role, by user, by organization. And that essentially is leading us into this agentic kind of role. How can I take all of this data that's within Bridge, these 14 apps that we have, all of the clinical information, and give you what you need without having to dig into the platform? So what I've worked with the studio team is essentially we're looking at it as like Bridge is the back end of our front end now. So the front end is how do we summarize, how do we create the agents, how do we create the quick views and the summaries for all of our users so they can get those tiny taste morsels at their point of access, whether that's the point of care, whether that's their login for the day, whether that's before they start their admissions workflow, really understanding how can I give them what they need so they can start and be more effective and more efficient in all of their workflows.
Amazing. Thank you, Jared. We've completed 13 years. It's been a long journey. All of you have completed at least 7 or 8 years with the company. So first, I want to thank all of you for your commitment. There are different moments where your decision making is questioned, challenged, and we all go through that in our life, right? But you stuck with us, you stuck with the journey against all the headwinds that we have faced, and you've contributed immensely to where we are. So first, on behalf of everybody at the garage, I want to thank each and every one of you. And I want to ask the same question to all of you, which is, if I ask for the one thing that you're most excited about in the future, going into the future with your next 5 years, 10 years, I'm assuming you'll spend the next 13 years with us, what would be that one thing that you would pick as something that you're most excited about in this journey ahead with the garage? And no order, you guys can go in any order that you want. Whoever is ready.
I can start.
Go ahead.
So I think the thing that I'm most excited about is our ability to stay on the cutting edge of not only innovations that we're working on, but innovations in the industry. AI is the hot button one right now. Our response to AI was not only to look at how we can utilize it, but to build for the first time ever an in-house AI lab that we've called Mozart, to better vet new AI models, to better vet LLMs, to vet AI tools, and see how we can apply that in the lens of healthcare, making sure that it's completely secure, completely safe, and completely trusted, something that we can anchor our AI intelligence on. Our response to this just excites me tremendously. It tickles that engineering part of my brain that I really like to work in. And I'm excited to not only see where we go with that, but how we respond to other major innovation in the technology field. Because AI is just the start of a new era of interacting with software systems.
Got it.
So what excites me is that we have a good foundation under our feet now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of changes that are happening, but because we have that foundation and how we understand what we're getting through the data, I think we're more prepared for those new changes that come throughout healthcare with all the changes that are happening, regulations and whatnot.
Right.
So I'm just excited to bring those challenges to come head on and how we're just going to be able to go right through them.
I think that what I'm most excited to see is what I've already seen: innovation and impact. I was employee 6, and now there's almost 300 employees in this organization. The innovation is what's kept everyone hungry for more and keeping our startup phase as everybody's taking accountability. Every project is their own product and everyone really takes the ownership. And then with that, there's been so much more impact we've seen at the patient level, at the organization level, at our client level, where, as Nadia mentioned, we have a foundation that not all other organizations have, that may have the hype, because we've always started in that ground run, mapping claims data from Excel to CCLS. Just like going through all of this at a different rate and kind of having that hunger to really understand it, to make sure that it's right, to make sure that we understand the data. We have transparency with our clients, with our data, with our customers, making sure that everybody's on the same page. We're seeing a change in the way that we're innovating, how we're delivering those tools and those resources to our clients, but we're also seeing a shift in that impact. We're able to see our clients make bigger impacts on their space. So it's just been ongoing. Every year I think, when's it gonna stop? But it's not. It's always going, and it's always been chaotic and fun.
Awesome. Madhu, what are you most excited about?
When I was joining here, we started with 3M based Pranam, as I mentioned before. I was employee 1 from India. Okay, I was working with like MNC company before joining to here. Just before joining, I think twice whether I need to join or not, because it's a startup company. I took the decision like do
No track record. Yeah.
do audition. I searched with Google, Facebook, everywhere, where the company located, everything. Then I done my background work. Not only people will do background verification from them.
You did the background work on the employer.
So finally I'm here.
Awesome.
I'm very happy.
Thank you. Saving the best for the last. Phillip, what are you most excited about?
I think for us, particularly on the data side, utilizing and implementing new tools.
Yeah.
In my experience so far, we've utilized what we knew.
Yeah.
But with AI, all these other tools coming into the picture, being able to incorporate that into our processes, how can we scale things? How can we do things quicker, more effectively? And I think that'll be something I'm most excited about.
That's something that we all are excited about.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. But I never end bench 10 without the fun question. So this is going to be the toughest question I ask all of you. Okay? So the fun question for this episode is, if each of you could pick another person's job, who would you pick? If you could do the other person's job, or you would want to do the other person's job, you can't say, I don't want to do anyone. If you could pick, including me, yeah, for a day,
Just a day.
just a day, who would you pick?
JR.
You would pick JR? Why?
I think product is really looking at how do we make what we have useful to our end users. And ultimately, that's what we're going for. I think I'll find a lot of joy in that.
I'm glad you didn't say because it's easy. Who's next, Madhu?
I pick Chandler.
Chandler, why?
Because you'll always think about innovations, like new tools.
Good.
AI.
So he's looking for an opportunity to think more innovatively. Great. Nadia?
I think I'm gonna go with JR too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Now we know who's the most popular in the company, guys.
Yep. So when you have that opportunity to speak to the clients,
Yeah.
to see the need, to see and you get that first-hand information and conversation, I think that when I get the opportunity to do
That's
that,
awesome.
it's the drive that
Yeah,
just is like,
it's
it's not
amazing.
for me, it's not for this group here, it's not for the rest of the
Right.
garage, it's for the people that does
Customers,
it
yeah.
and see what do we need, what is the need out there. So I don't think her job is easy in any way, shape, or form, but I would love to be able to
Awesome.
have that part to it.
Chandler?
I would not pick you because I feel like even for a day, the role of CEO would age me 10 years. I know all the stuff you do. I know the weight you carry. I do not envy it at all. I think who I would pick is actually Phillip. And the reason that is because we've said it time and time again that data is king.
Yeah.
Data is one of the most important things that we can anchor everything on. It is the most important thing that we anchor everything on. And I don't have a background in data, in database, in any of the data tooling, but over the years I've had the absolute privilege to work with Phillip and work with our very talented data scientists and data engineers like Nadia, Anjana, whoever, Vanita, and I've been able to get small glimpses into that world.
Right.
So if I was able to have a full day of that, I feel like it would drastically change my perspective on how I kind of approach things, and it would only be for the better.
Awesome. JR?
So since I'm a co-coder and I've done data and I've done management, I feel like I've done everything except for your job. Thank you, but no thank you. I would probably want to do more of a kind of a mix between Phillip and Nadia. When I first started doing all of the data mapping and really understanding the client's data to help create what we have on the front end, the nerd in me just loved it. The math part was hard. I don't think I could come up with all of our predictive analytic logic and algorithms and things, as well as some of our staff can do. But understanding the data just helps to kind of drive and feed into what I already know in the conversations I have with clients. So I think there's always an opportunity to be more aware of what the data is and what we're receiving and making it actionable and putting it on the forefront.
Awesome.
So basically, don't want to pick PMO.
No.
Me, you and me. Nobody's picking us, Madhu.
Love your job.
Of you. Yeah. I was between the two of you, and I would have said yours just because I know that importance of what you're doing as well. But I just think talking to the clients.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I've done it. It's too stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at this way, Madhu. We are unique. Nobody can do what we do.
There you go.
Nobody wants to do what we do. All right, that's it. That's the Benston episode for this month. Thank you all for taking the time to join me on my podcast, and let's get back to work now. Yeah? If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you subscribe to our channels. Episodes will be posted once a month with a variety of industry leaders, and you can follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook as The Garage. Have a good one.